Hi everyone, we are Noah, Alyosha and Lorenzo and we developed PocketDex. PocketDex is an app that lets you look up any Pokemon you want. First, let's toggle off the music because it might be a bit annoying. So as you can see from the screen, you have information about the Pokemon, the type of the Pokemon, a brief description about the Pokemon from the Pokédex, and many different features like the height, the weight, the HP, the speed. You can look up for different Pokemon by using search. So let's say we want to search for Ninetales, you just type Ninetales and that's going to pop up. But we can also search for numbers, so you can also look for Pokemon number, let's say 400, and then Bibarel is going to come up. We click on Bibarel and we see it. And then we can also move back and forth different Pokemon, so 401, 402, and also back 401, 400. We also have a credit section where we can see those who developed it, Alyosha, Lorenzo, Noah, credits for Poke API, Pokemon Nintendo, and also credits for all the Pokemon that help us create this beautiful app. So these are the main functionalities of PocketDex.
Pokemon was one of our favorite games as children. We came across the Poke API while researching APIs online and decided to create a Pokemon fighter game, which we later revised to PocketDex.
Hello, today I will quickly be showing you one activity and one Java class that accompanies it, and I will be showing off the main part of our app, which is of course the Pokemon shower, which changes depending on each Pokemon. So if you look over at the XML, we have a few main elements. First of all, we have the image of the actual Pokemon, which will be loaded in via the API, and that is actually why all of these are blank. None of this actually saves anything locally or has any strings locally. It's all loaded in from the web upon you switching to the next layout. So here we have the Pokemon image, the Pokemon name, and the background, which you can barely see, is going to be the Pokemon background. In the very back is the whole linear layout, which changes color depending on what type your Pokemon is. Here we have the name of the Pokemon, the number in the Pokédex it's associated with. Here we have a text string which shows a description of a Pokemon, and of course we have all 700 of the Pokemon loaded in, so you can go ahead and scroll through and read about each one. Here we have the types it can have. It can have either 1 or 2 types, and there are 16 different types including poison and electric and etc. And then down here we're going to have the stats, which include the HP, the attack, the defense, the special attack, the special defense. And where it's actually all loaded in is over here. So when we load it up, we set the content view to .xml. We use a custom function called update full screen, which just sets flags for the window to toggle full screen, and it works for every version of Android since API version 14. And then it goes ahead and hides the action part. Now next up, we get the intent. So each time we load this activity, we pass it an intent. That's how we know which Pokemon we're on. So we get that a variable from the previous intent, and we set that as a variable here. We then unlock the thread policy to be able to load in images, otherwise it would cause a runtime error. There is a better way of doing it, which we eventually did. However, this still helps it be more stable. The better way, of course, is what we did here by using asynchronous tasks, and I think that's somewhere down there. Can't find it at the moment. Yeah, so we use asynchronous tasks to load images, so technically this code is not needed, but it's still useful as a backup. Then we create a Pokemon using our custom Pokemon interface, and custom Pokemon class, which parses the JSON file we get from an API called PocketAPI, and then converts it to the different variables here and creates a Pokemon class. So once we have the Pokemon class, we can go ahead and create all the elements in the view. We can set the color of the background and the color of the 3 buttons at the bottom, the forward, backward, and menu. We can then set the background corner radius to 30 to make our image background rounded, and we can use get background URL, which is another thing in the interface, to convert the Pokemon's type, normal or whatever, into a string which we can parse and create a background out of. Then we can set the image of this is what actually sets the image of the background. Then we set the name of the Pokemon. We remove anything like that can be added on the end, like female or male or incarnate or ordinary. Then we set all the text used. This is all the menus, all the numbers, all the stats, as you can see here, and we just make it nice and pretty. Then here we set the 2 types, because there can be up to 16 types, and either 1 or 2 types. We needed custom code to create a variable number of different types. And that is mostly it. Then we set on-click listeners for the menu and forward-backward buttons that do their associated tasks. And once again, we update full screen because sometimes Android slips up and shows the menu bar. Thank you so much.
We delegated tasks and shared code via chats, but we mainly worked in groups at the time. We booked rooms in the UGL and could see what the other person was coding at the time.
When it comes to tasks, Lorenzo and Noah thought about the idea of using a PocketAPI and developed the first mock UI on paper. Then Alyosha worked with the interface, between the API and Android Studio. He made it such that you can call different Pokemons, you can have different background on the screen according to the type, and also created the algorithm to search a Pokemon. An interesting feature, he also added the music, which we think is very cool. Then Noah worked a lot on creating the UI, so all the different activities that we have, from the main page to credit page and the Pokemon shower page. And lastly, I worked on creating the type class, which was meant to be used for a Pokemon fight, but we ended up not using it due to shortage of time. I also helped creating the Pokemon class with getters and senders for every single feature that would retrieve the information from the API that we got from the internet.